And local tonight, our guest speaker tonight is Sam Hitchcock, and as I mentioned before, we do have Vanessa in here taking pictures for us. She always does such a great job. And anyway, next up, let's see, Sam. Let's talk about what happened towards the end of your singing career there.
Well, I had Karoll and I were playing pretty regular. And right about 2003, spring of 2003, I was having some problems, some medical discomfort, and I went to the doctor and found out I had cancer. I had what they called non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. The doctor told me I had about 25% chance of survival, and I was kind of shocked, but he told me that he said I took all kind of blood tests and everything like that, and he said I'm going to send these to Ohio State, but he said I don't want to wait till they come back. He said I'm pretty sure I know what you've got, and he said with your permission I would like to hit you with a double dose of chemo as though you were coming back the second time with a remission. And I told him, Doc, I said, hit me with your best shot. Whatever. So he did, and I had scheduled to practice that night earlier with Karoll, and I told him that, and he said, you're not going to be practicing anything. He says, you're going to be flat on your back after I hit you with about 5 hours of this chemo, 5 or 6 hours, something like that. So after that was done, my sister Patty drove me home, and I'm laying on a recliner on the couch, and it just bothered me that I wasn't, we had scheduled practice, and I hadn't said anything to Karoll about it. So I got up and went down to Karoll's house. My stuff was already sitting there, and I went ahead and we practiced. We put in probably a couple hours. It was difficult. It was difficult to sing because I didn't have much in the way of wind, but we did it anyway. We played a few jobs, and then at one point I was having problems with my throat. It was swelling shut, and the doctor did a tracheotomy on me. He told me if I didn't, he said I wouldn't suffocate. So they poked a hole in my throat, and it's left my throat a little bit rough. I think, I don't know if there's scar tissue on my vocal cords or what, but I can't seem to sing quite as high as I used to, and so I just quit playing music. About that same time I got it into, started a sound company, and I've been doing the sound company ever since. The Travis Green that I mentioned earlier, he's my chief engineer, great kid, and so the sound company kind of took the place of playing music, but recently I've had the opportunity to sit in with my son a couple times, and he's invited me to play on stage with his band, and so I went ahead and bought a B3, bought another B3, fit of insanity, and I bought a Kurzweil keyboard that I've been playing probably two or three times a day, and I think I'm going to get back into it again. I don't know how well I'll be able to sing, but I love music, and I've always enjoyed performing, and so we're going to give it another shot.
And so now you're health-wise, you got a clean bill? Yeah,
the doctor said if it didn't come back after 5 years, he said he didn't think it would, and after 10 years, well, actually it's been 12 years now, but the last time I went in, we were discussing it, and he said, no, he said it shouldn't come back. He said, he couldn't believe the recovery, because he said when you came to me, he said you were dying.
Well, and you know what I think too, just the fact of you getting up, going to practice, and just carrying on with your life, I think that helps.
I do. Plus I was on a lot of prayer lists. A lot of people put me on prayer lists of churches I didn't belong to, and I believe that was very influential in my life. But what you said, I I had to, when you get this kind of news, you have to start thinking about a lot of things. And, it didn't really put me in depression, because I had a good life. I raised my kids. I had a good career. I had a lot of things that a lot of people haven't had in life. So I thought to myself, if this is it, if this is going to be the end of it, I'm going to go out on my feet. So I made arrangements for everything I was involved in to be covered by somebody else if I wasn't there. But then after I did that, I kept going. I would go over to the summer showcase where I was doing the concerts. I'd only be able to get up and announce the show, and then I'd have to go lay down. But I went to the teen center. I wasn't able to really do too much other than sit in my office and watch the kids outside the door. But I think that staying with everything and going as much as I could, I think it really helped a positive attitude.
How did you get started at the teen center? How did that come about?
Well, when I retired at the police department, I'd already been doing the concerts at Tuscarora Park. I'd been doing those since 1999. And Kerry Gardner, who was my boss there, asked me, he said, he knew I was getting close to retirement. He said, we're going to build a new teen center. We had benefactor was Max and Irma Miller, great people. Had supplied the money to build a teen center, and this was going to be a teen center not open just on Saturday nights. It was going to be every day. And so I thought this was great. I always enjoyed going to the youth center when I was a kid, and so when I retired, I started as the director at the teen center, and I've been there over 15 years. I love it. Love hanging out with the kids, shooting pool. We built a stage for some of them to develop their musical abilities. We bring some national talent in from time to time for them, for their entertainment, and it's just been a great experience at Tuscarora Park.
When I was young, out on Long Island, we had a youth center, but we had, I don't know if there was 2 pool tables or just 1 pool table, and a ping pong table, and there was this old jukebox. And it had about 3 good songs on it. But that first thing when I'd go in there is I'd punch those 3 songs over and over and over and over again, because I didn't want anybody playing the other songs, which were junkie songs. But I mean, it was, for a youth center, when you see the park center over here, the teen center there, it's beautiful over there. They did a nice job for the kids there.
Well, one of the things, and we're talking about music, and one of the things that kind of impresses me about some of the games that have come to be since the teen center was built was Rock Band and Guitar Hero. And kids have them on their TVs at home, but we put them on the big screen, and we put them through a big sound system that belongs to me. And so they can perform on the stage with the Rock Band or the Guitar Hero just like they're playing in a regular venue.
That's cool.
Or they can sit down and put it on the big screen in front of them, the projection screen. And the thing that I always admired about those 2 games were they didn't play, they were playing classic oldies,
right?
Like Deep Purple and some of the good music that your guys are playing on here.
Right, and I noticed, because I DJ, and I would notice kids coming up asking for some of these songs, and it's like, where are they hearing this? And eventually I figured it out. It was on their games.
So those 2, whoever, the wisdom of the people that put those games out, are responsible for, I think, a lot of the youth and a lot of these kids learning some of the good old classic rock and roll songs that were great songs of our era.
You're listening to DNP 102.3 FM. This is Saturday Night Live and Local with our guest tonight, Sam Hitchcock. And take care of a little business here.